It's the Rip and Read with Curtis Sliwa, but you might call it Curtis Sliwa's Farm, because we've got a lot of animals to get into today, Curtis, a lot of animal-based news.
You're absolutely right. I feel like it's the Animal Welfare Hour on Sunday nights 10 to 11 without Nancy. She'll be rejoining us tomorrow. But before we get into all these animal-related stories,
right?
I was titillated by the fact that First Gnome Layden, one of the chosen people, and yourself, Mr. Wasp, talked about how Donald Trump is going to be in the heart of Williamsburg, in the shadow of the Williamsburg Bridge. He's going to be noshing at Gottlieb's Deli.
That's right.
You know how many times I've been to Gottlieb's Deli?
Probably more times than you can actually count.
The only person to be there more times than me when he was alive was the great comedian Jackie Mason. He'd be there like once a week, even though he lived in Manhattan. I go there. It's the Satmar community, and I go there for a bowl of chullin. And when I have my bowl of chullin, let me tell you something, I would clear Gottlieb's out.
Oh, that's really awful.
What chullin does to you, it's beans. Beans are good for the heart.
The more you eat,
the more you fart. There's nothing better than chullin.
Now, you know the second part of that, by the way, right?
Oh, what is that?
Beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you...
Poop.
Toot is really it.
Toot. But poop, too.
Sure.
Although sometimes you get constipation, I will admit, with chullin.
Yeah.
You never had chullin, did you?
No. Can't say that I have.
Oh, my God, I love chullin.
What is chullin?
Oh.
Educate the wasp, please.
Okay. When you get your pork and beans, right?
Right.
Just imagine no pork. Remember, this is kosher.
Right, that's true.
Lots of beans simmered. I mean, simmered like all night, chullin. And then it sticks right to your ribs. Oh, it's so good. Before I get on that J train, before I head back to the city of Marcy Avenue, got to have my bowl of chullin at Gottlieb's. I hope that the President, Donald Trump, orders a bowl of chullin. That's their specialty.
I'm really conflicted right now because it's noon. This is lunch break for a lot of people.
And everybody knows what chullin does.
I don't really want to expand on this, but this is especially awful for me because I've had to go into the bathroom after you used it, so I don't like this line of discussion at all.
Look, I have chullin in Tupperware. That's how good I love it.
Oh, in honor of the company.
When I'm at Gottlieb's, they'll say, hey, you want to take some home to the missus? The missus doesn't like chullin.
She doesn't like chullin.
I said, but I'll have it, and I put it in the Tupperware. I take the J train right back to Manhattan.
Very nice.
Gottlieb's is the absolute best.
It's the best. It's the best. Why are you?
Want to bet that Trump does not order chullin?
I would not be surprised to hear that he didn't.
He'll order a dirty water hot dog, kosher, Hebrew National, and he'll have the traditional knish.
Yes.
But if he's a man's man, gotta have a bowl of chullin in honor of Jackie Mason.
Is that what Jackie Mason would have?
Yeah. I sat down there and noshed with Jackie.
That's nice.
And then right down the block, they have the haberdasher if you want to get a nice black fedora that the Hasidim love to wear.
Absolutely.
Right down there.
Have you ever worn one of those?
Yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
You traded in the beret for the day.
Well, when I was trying to connect with my Italian roots and be assassin, with a My Pillow and sort of go at one of my enemies like Hyman Roth.
Yeah, the piano
like
wire.
The Godfather. That's
100%.
Right. So get back on track. We're supposed to be doing the Animal Welfare Hour here.
That's right, we are. So the Rat Summit continues for a second day here, the Urban Rat Summit. But you were noting to me that there was a specific profession, a certain group of individuals that you would expect to be at a Rat Summit. They weren't invited.
This is a diss to the schmuck that puts Chuck E. Cheese Schumer. His father on Avenue R in Brooklyn was an exterminator, and quite a good one. And he said to Chuck when he was going to Madison High School there, he said, hey, I'll turn over the business to you. And Chuck said, nah, not that. I don't want to inherit your business. So he actually started working in printing as a side hustle out of high school until he graduated college, went to Harvard, claimed he had perfect SATs. We can never find that out. You could find Barack Obama's birth certificate before you can find somebody's SAT scores. And you know the rest of the story. How could you have a rat summit and not invite the professionals who battle rats every day?
No exterminators invited, apparently.
No exterminators. And when I come back later on in this hour, you don't want to miss it. The answer is rat mitigation, vis-a-vis what they do in Vancouver, British Columbia, where they not only give you needles to shoot up as a junkie, but they actually invite you in the storefronts and they'll shoot you up to make sure it's done appropriately.
Okay.
Mitigation, right? Are we going to start shooting up rats, or are we going to have male rats wear condoms?
I mean, that's quite a leap.
Well, wait till you hear who's the expert on rats. I think Eric Adams would do himself well to focus on the two-legged rats in his administration who each day are ratting him out to the feds.
I will say, though, you also noted to me kind of an interesting social custom, if you will, amongst rat populations, that something involving their urine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so all of a sudden, Eric Adams said, wow, I learned this for the first time. Rats urinate on one another to sort of establish domination over another. You know, they don't go to the dungeon. They're not into S&M, sadomasochistic routines like P. Diddy, So they basically urinate on one another. This goes back to what Hillary Rodham Clinton's guys were trying to allege that Trump did when he visited Moscow.
That's true.
And he said, is this where Barack Obama slept? Remember, in that hotel? And Putin said yes. And then supposedly urinated on the mattress.
Right, that completely fake and made up story that the mainstream media ran with for like 3 or 4 years.
And also when he said that, they alleged that, he had female prostitutes, Russian prostitutes urinating on him. This guy's a germ freak.
Right.
You would have figured that out right away.
Right, it doesn't make any sense.
No way.
So why would Adams consider that relevant to talk about at a rat summit? Like, why does it matter?
Because he was stunned. He thinks of himself as this expert in battling rats. I never knew that.
I see.
What the hell? I knew that as a teenager. So climbing around the sewers near the Patagate Basin.
The peeing thing.
They lift their leg just like a dog on one another. I'm in charge. I'm the head rat here.
Interesting.
You know how you establish it. You just lift your leg and you pee on the other rat.
Right, that's what they do.
It's freaky deaky.
So in terms of being experts about animals,
yes.
Of course, Nancy's not here today, but she's a cat expert. And you fashion yourself an expert when it comes to various groups here in the city.
Aliens. Yeah, I get along with the illegal aliens.
And you were saying that you actually are pretty tight with various Haitian groups, Haitian populations.
You go to Canarsie now, a Lady of Miracles, my former parish when I was there. It's all Creole masses. They pack Our Lady of Miracles. A lot of Catholics, voodoo and Catholics.
Yeah.
Quite a mix.
So last night, where Trump had his rally at the Nassau Coliseum, he was getting into the issue surrounding immigration and some of the problems they've had, like in Springfield, Ohio, and stuff like that. And the crowd started to chant, "Save the cats!
Yes,
save the cats!"
He said, "I'm going to Springfield in 2 weeks," and then immediately the crowd started saying, "Save the cats! Save the cats!"
So I had a thought.
Yes.
Given Nancy is an expert on cats, you love cats as well.
Yes.
And you're an expert with the Haitian immigrant population.
Sure, I can't speak Creole, but I know a little bit of voodoo.
Okay, so maybe you can join former President Trump, and you guys can have a summit there in Springfield, bringing together the cats and the Haitian migrants.
But also to vet out what is maybe embellished, what is real, what is not. So I figure it this way, like an amoeba. You'll split us. We'll spend 48 hours in Springfield, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been to Springfield.
Oh, wow.
Columbus, yes, it's just nearby. I'll focus on the Haitians.
Okay.
I'll give a report on the Haitians. Nancy will focus on the cats. Mm-hmm. She's a big Trumper, as you know. She's Annie Oakley, Second Amendment, AK-47. When she visits her mom in Pennsylvania, she likes to go out there and just shoot up everything. I told her, you ain't bringing that AK-47 back to New York because you'll probably shoot me. But the point being is, I think you'll get, what was that, what they used to say about Fox News? Fair and unbiased?
Yeah, fair and balanced.
Because you've accused me of being a never Trumper or a rhino.
Yeah, you're like a quasi never Trumper.
Yeah,
right?
look,
you don't like him.
Have had a love-hate relationship
that's
with
fine.
him. But I think when it comes to migrants, who would doubt my ability? Since as much as I've said they don't belong here, they embrace me.
But can we have perhaps there's someone within the Guardian Angels ranks who speaks Creole who can join you as sort of a translator on this trip. I just feel like that's maybe the one limit. You know, the you mentioned voodoo, but I'm not really so sure that's a language.
Hey, Wasp Boy, you're telling me how to handle this? A wasp from Bloomfield, right? Blue blood is going to tell me.
Yeah, the blue bloods from Bloomfield.
How to kick it, right, with the Haitians, right? You know, once you mind your own business, you stick to what you're good at. I'll stick to what I'm good at, okay?
All right. And maybe later we'll break bread over a bowl of chullin.
Chullin! Oh, my God, it Gottlieb's. If I were online right now, all the Satmar, they would say, hey, Curtis, you here for your bowl of chullin? Oh, God, it is so great. You will feel relieved after you have a bowl of chullin at Gottlieb's. The best. Me and Jackie Mason, we used to fight over the chullin. Who gets to stick the spoon into the chullin first?
And there was another thing that you did want to touch on from an animal perspective. This is not the animal welfare hour. It's the Rip and Read, but it's got a little twist.
It should be Sundays from 10 to 11.
Got a little twist. There's something going on with the pigeon population here in New York City, but you also then wanted to connect that to what is or isn't happening with the squirrels in Central Park.
Squirrels, and then also Albany is now inundated with street pigeons. You know, people are divided. Like half of our population, they hate street pigeons. They call them rats with wings.
Yeah,
right?
and they kind of just like fly up all of a sudden on the sidewalk
and
poop
they're dirty. All over the place.
Yeah, there's a lot of poop. Yeah,
and people would exterminate them. Right? I mean, they wouldn't have a problem if you came with a flamethrower and just did away with them.
Right.
And then there are others like me and Nancy. We feed the pigeons. Be very careful on this, Wasp Boy. Our owner-operator, John Katsimatidis, and president of Red Apple Company, his son, John Jr., every Sunday they're in Central Park feeding the pigeons.
Yeah, I did know that.
And we communicate, and they asked me, Curtis, what happened to the squirrels? So I asked my wife, who's Lone Wolf 1, was always in the park at night, to go in there and try to figure out why are there so less squirrels now? And they're right. I've asked this question throughout the city. I was in Staten Island last night, Clove Park there. There was somebody from, I said, have you noticed there's less squirrels there? And they said, yeah. And I said, I don't understand. There's so many more nuts around that they could gather up, for the winter. Although that's right. With global warming and climate change, we don't have winters anymore. That's why they used to scurry around and collect the nuts, right, and hibernate. Maybe that's why there are no more squirrels, huh?
Oh, climate change, okay.
Remember, what was the most famous cartoon of all time during the Cold War versus Nikita Khrushchev and the Soviet Union?
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That's right. Rocket J. Squirrel, please. Bullwinkle Moose. Right? Remember, against who? Boris and Natasha.
Natasha, yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah, right.
God, that helped us through the Cold War. It wasn't JFK and it wasn't Khrushchev. It wasn't the movie Fail Safe. It's we had a chance to participate and root for Rocket J. Squirrel and Bullwinkle the Moose versus Boris, Yeltsin, and Natasha. Yeltsin? Did I say? Oh, so are you laughing at me or with me?
I was just thinking about some of my favorite Bullwinkle moments.
No. You were laughing at me. So you know what? Pack your bags and get the hell out of here.
Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa. Rip and Read. Check this out.
This is the Rip and Read featuring Curtis Sliwa.
Walking about.
Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa. This is the Rip and Read.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother.
Oh, this should be the theme song for the Banks Brothers, one of about 15 folks in the inner circle of Eric Adams, Swagger Man with no plan, who have had their phones taken by the FBI, and they're now using burner phones. There's the Chancellor of the Department of Education, DOE, dumbest organization ever, They haven't even given his phones back. What a schmuck. He's got to go out and get burner phones, Banks. Then, of course, there's Phil Banks. We'll get to him momentarily, the most corrupt of all the Banks brothers. And Terrence Banks, that's the one we didn't know about, who had retired from the MTA money-taking agency and became a lobbyist, although he didn't register. And he would give you an easy pass to meet with Phil Banks, his brother, in the Verizon building, a private office, I might add, which I'll explain momentarily why it existed. And you could bring the loot, and you could negotiate for all kinds of contracts and establish the rate of a kickback to Phil Banks and all of his minions. He's the deputy mayor of public safety, unindicted co-conspirator previously in the de Blasio administration, who, when caught by the feds in police corruption, when cornered in his house in Hollis with his wife and being asked, how did you end up with $300,000 cash deposits in your bank account, could not answer, said, hey, I tell you what, I know where this is going. I'm a street guy, so how about I become a CI, confidential informer, and avoid being part of the daisy chain perp walk of crooked cops. You ask me questions, and I'll answer them. And that's how he became an unindicted co-conspirator. He should have went to jail for police corruption. So he was given a second opportunity, a second life, by Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, who decided to resurrect the old office of the deputy mayor of public safety. It hadn't been in existence since the last really bad mayor, David Dinkins. In the years when there were 2,000 murders a year, 10,000 unsolved shootings, he decided, I need a deputy mayor of public safety, and he appointed Judge Mullen. How did that work out? Miserably. So Eric Adams decided to resurrect it, put in Phil Banks, and Phil Banks went to work for Eric Adams with their side hustles. Now, as deputy mayor of public safety, you would think he would have an office in City Hall. Not. You would think he would have an office in One Police Plaza. Not. In fact, the first thing he did was walk into the Department of Internal Affairs and tell the chief who had investigated him and had reported his findings to the feds, I want your badge. You're going to put in for early retirement or you're going to be fired. And so he kicked him the hell out. Now, he didn't even take his office. Instead, they rented an office in the nearby Verizon building in the shadow of the Brooklyn Bridge within walking distance of One Police Plaza and City Hall. And it's there that you can have meetings with Phil Banks and bring the loot. It's all cash and carry with Phil Banks. And he shares that private office with Eric Adams. They have been seen going in and out of there by the feds and others. And the question is always, why do they have a private office? Well, because if they were seeing guests or visitors at One Police Plaza or City Hall or any government building, they would have to have a log of those. Those could be subpoenaed. They would have to keep a record of them. But they don't keep any record of their visitors to the Verizon building, and that's where they bring the loot. So who showed up yesterday? Phil Banks. Phil Banks, who should have been fired or who should have been forced to resign. That's the reason that the chief counsel of Eric Adams decided to resign in that midnight massacre on Saturday, in which basically it came out that her recommendation was that Phil Banks had to go, that Timothy Pearson had to go, and Winnie Greco had to go, and the mayor said no, 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 no. So there was Phil Banks talking about Ghostbuster cars, how that they have illegal fake license plates, missing, altered, obstructed license plates. You know, they're unregistered, they're uninsured, they're stolen. We're coming after them. We're picking them up as we speak. It's as if nothing happened. And the mayor was at that press conference with that woman who wears a red dress who follows him everywhere. A school mother. I don't know what the hell she is. An assemblywoman from Woodhaven. So now you know the rest of the story. The crooks are all back at play. Phil Banks, deputy mayor. Nobody has spotted Timothy Pearson yet. And Winnie Greco, I know, is in the Asian community as the booster bag lady carrying all the Asian loot for the two funds for Eric Adams, his reelection campaign, the hubris to be collecting money for that, and the chutzpah to be collecting money for his legal defense campaign, which continues to mount upwards and upwards of upwards as he's got to hire more liars for hire to protect him from going to jail.
This is the Rip and Read featuring Curtis Sliwa. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, 'cause it's bad boy for life. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, 'cause it's bad boy for life.
Oh, yeah, that's P. Diddy. We ain't going nowhere 'cause we bad boys for life. All right, enough of this rap crap here. And that really is the battle cry of Eric Adams and his sycophants, toadies, and lackeys, those he surrounded himself in the administration, as he is beginning to drown politically as a result of all these side hustles that everybody has, and the investigations that are zoning in on the target, which is Eric Adams. But before we get to that, I want to conflate the two. There's Eric Adams, who called himself the bad boy of politics. Remember about a year ago presenting the keys to the city to P. Diddy, the bad boy of entertainment?
The bad boy of entertainment is getting the key to the city from the bad boy of politics.
Now, how prophetic. Could I hear that again, please, Lou Rufino?
The bad boy of entertainment is getting the key to the city from the bad boy of politics.
Oh, yeah. Bad boy of politics. Bad, 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 as he's drowning in his own greed. But we'll save that for another day. Here was Sean Puff Daddy Combs receiving the keys to the city.
I want to thank y'all for this honor and just recognizing me being from New York, giving me the key to the city. Diddy finally has the key to the city.
And the crowd threw their hands up in the air like they just didn't care in Times Square. You remember that, Justin Alec? You were there chasing the girlies. Well, both of these guys are really in the same kind of a problem. P. Diddy's sitting in a jail, no bail. He's been remanded to jail. But he's wondering who are all the rats, the two-legged rats, that are cooperating with the feds to send him away triple life without parole. And that is the Southern District of Damian Williams. Meantime, it's Eric Adams who's wondering who are all the two-legged rats in City Hall that are ratting him out to the U.S. Attorney of the Southern District, a.k.a. Damian Williams. And remember, the clock is ticking on both, because if Eric Adams' dream come true, as he lights the Chavez candles on Friday in hopes that Donald Trump gets elected, if you notice, he doesn't badmouth Trump for a very good reason for him, self-preservation, that if Damian Williams is on the losing team, which he would be if Trump becomes president and gets sworn in on January 20th, and every U.S. attorney must submit their resignation, as was the case in 2016. And then there was that kerfuffle involving Preet Bharara that Trump kept on about 30 days and then whacked him, realizing, hey, this guy Preet will come after me. So the clock is ticking. These investigations are leading to indictments and prosecutions, and they got to move el rapido. But speaking about the two-legged rats that P. Diddy is wondering about, and obviously every day Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, is obsessed with, yesterday was Eric Adams' day. His International Rat Summit finally became a reality. And whoa! Oh, my God, this microphone, all of a sudden went flaccid. It had been turgid. I guess the microphone knows, too, that it's just a matter of time. But this was Eric Adams when he was running for the mayoralty against me and after he got sworn in, his obsession, his personal obsession with the four-legged rats.
I hate rats. 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 I hate rats. I hate rats. I hate rats. I hate rats. Let me tell you how scared I am of rats. The rats may be listening. I'm terrified of rats. All of you are scared of rats too. I had a real rat infestation. Rats are everywhere. We were feeding rats. Those rats use it as perfume. Trust me, you got rats. We were creating an environment where rats felt comfortable. See one scurrying down the block. We want to get rid of rats. We're going to kill rats. Kill some rats. I'm killing rats. Called me a murderer because I was killing rats. Kill rats. And you see a rat and say, okay, you guys failed. The guy blackmailed me. He said, I know you're scared of rats. Rats do not run the city. Rats don't run our city. You can be the rat czar. Fighting crime, fighting inequality, and fighting rats. Fighting rats. If you're not scared of rats, you're my hero.
So I thought I was his hero because, as you know in my history, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not afraid of two-legged rats and certainly not four-legged rats. I've dealt with four-legged rats since I was a kid out there in the Pawtucket Basin, in Canarsie, in the fields of East New York and Brownsville. Never bothered me, the rats. And I had answers. I volunteered to be the rat czar. And Eric Adams at first sort of dissed me and dismissed me, but he was wondering, one thing Curtis doesn't know a lot about, crime in the subways, and the four-legged rats. And I volunteered to come to his building that he owns on Lafayette Avenue in Bed-Stuy, do or die, and do rat mitigation. You remember, Justin Ellick, I bought Batman and Robin, our two feral cats. We were going to build them a little house there that my wife Nancy provides for feral cats. As long as you feed them and you water them, they will stay within those confines, and it's the best deterrent to the rats. But while I was there for 2 days, I was cleaning up the area with the guardian angel Zeke. We were looking, and we saw that Eric Adams was really the source of the problem for not only the building but the whole block, because the rats had actually burrowed into the basement apartment. Remember that he claimed that he had lived in when really he was in apartment 22H in Fort Lee, and his son was living there at the time, Jordan. And it was all mishigash. But the point was nobody was living there now, and the rats had burrowed in. So we were planning ways of doing rat mitigation 2 days into it after cleaning it up, preparing to house Batman and Robin the feral cats, which is the best deterrent to the rats. The mayor called me up personally, told me, F you, get the hell off my property. Apparently he's got cameras on the property. You can see, all right. Cops rolled up from the precinct. They say, you know, Curtis, the mayor doesn't want you on the property anymore. They laid it for him. And ever since, he's gotten a series of 5 tickets because he has not done rat mitigation. His building is the source of the problem right there on Lafayette Avenue. But he goes into court and he fixes the tickets. But the inspectors are always ticketing him because it's so obvious. So that's problem number 1. He can't even take care of his own problem on his own property in Bed-Stuy that is the source of the problem on the whole block. So he's looking for new and improved ways. But before he went there, he made sure that he publicly embarrassed me and humiliated me at the State of the City address in Flushing Meadows Park, in the museum, when he took to the microphone and proudly and boldly and brazenly said, Sliwa, later for you.
Hiring our new rat czar, and it won't be Curtis Sliwa, will be just the beginning of a new era and delivering the best in public service and public spaces.
And I said to him from day one, you cannot solve the rat problem. It can only be managed as long as they remain nocturnal, because that's what they are. I'm nocturnal. Feral cats are nocturnal. You remember Flacco the owl, nocturnal. They're the best because they're natural predators, and they will limit the number of rats and mice. But what the hell do I know, right? So I was put on the sideline, and so the mayor got to work because he continues to lose the war on the four-legged rats, and he decided that he would take matters into his own hands. I'll never forget when he started talking about Mickey and Ben.
Mickey and Ben are extremely skillful. These guys have been around for, I got to read up on how long they've been around. You know, you
Alexa. Ask Alexa how long it is.
right, I'm asking Alexa how long. Rats have been around a long time, and I'm pretty sure they're in their little hole somewhere laughing. Eric think he's going to get rid of us? We've been around for thousands of years, but they met their match.
No, you're not their match. You're not going to beat them. You can only manage them and have detente. But still, every few weeks he tries some other scam that costs us, the taxpayers, money. The most recent one, he put together a new version of the Rat Pack.
And so now we're doing something new. We're recruiting an entirely new generation of the Rat Pack. As a song, when I walked up, you don't have to be Frank Sinatra and the crew. It's just a different type of leader to fight the rats. And we want you to join up and become a member of our Rat Pack. You don't need to sing. All you have to do is to become a member, is be an official New York City Rat Pack member and get the swag, the hat, this T-shirt to prove it, and the confidence to go after those pesky critters.
How many have joined, Justin Ellick? None. I mean, come on. Young people, I want to be the Rat. They don't even know what the Rat Pack is.
I got to catch a train soon. Are you?
What are you complaining about? I got to go to a bar mitzvah in a minute. They heard the breeze through the trees, singing weird melodies, and they named that the start of the blues.
Oh, sing it, Sammy. So you had Sammy Davis Jr., the Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra. Of course, you had Joey Bishop. Oh, you can go on and on. And how can you forget that pizza pie in your eye? From Steubenville, Ohio, Dean Martin. Nobody, no young people know that. Nobody has joined that Rat Pack. So the biggest faux pas of this rat conference, a 2-day rat conference that will wrap up later on today, is that no exterminators were invited. No exterminators. These are the professionals in the field. They think like rats. They know how rats act. They know how they procreate. They know everything about rats because it is their profession. So right away, Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, immediately thinks he knows more than exterminators. So he didn't invite any. This is like a backhanded diss to the schmuck-to-putz Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, whose father was an exterminator of rats and mice. Back on Avenue R, when Schumer was going to Madison High School, the father said, "Hey, would you like to inherit the business?" And Schumer said, "Nah, Dad. I got a side hustle in school at a printing press location. I don't want to be an exterminator." So rather, he brought in experts from Vancouver, British Columbia. Now, I've been to Vancouver. I've had Guardian Angels in Vancouver, the East End, near the Carnegie Center, Maine and Hastings. They got a lot of four-legged rats there. But they came and they said, don't exterminate the rats. We're here to teach New Yorkers harm reduction instead of elimination. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? When I hear harm reduction, because I saw it with my own eyes first in Vancouver, that means supervised injection sites if you're shooting up heroin. Oh, yeah, they were the first to have that, and the first to have needle exchange. What do you mean harm reduction? Are you going to try to give condoms out to the male rats so they don't procreate? How ridiculous. And this from the mayor who, when he was Brooklyn Borough president, was so proud of the fact that at a public event, he drowned rats and then ladled them out of this fish tank and seemed to have a psychotic look in his face, like right out of Clockwork Orange. At the end of the day, what did we learn from day one, Justin Alley? Because we're going to give you a critique tomorrow, is that rats urinate on one another to assert dominance. Rats don't just like to live together. They urinate on one another to assert dominance. And how much did we spend to bring experts in from Vancouver, British Columbia, to tell us that rats are a social justice and equity issue? Really? Part 2 tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. from the expert on rats, yours truly, Curtis Sliwa, who should have been the rat czar.
Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
Curtis doesn't know about you, but he rips and reads.
This is the Rip and Read. It's the left versus the right. In the right corner, Dominic Carter. In the left corner, it's Anthony Weiner. Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios, it's a 77 WABC debate. The melee in the metropolis.
Oh, yeah, Anthony. Were you in Williamsburg there?
I haven't been to Gottlieb's in my entire life.
Oh, my God. It's where all the Satmar go. I went. Jackie Mason used to go once a week.
You know, you always had to be careful back in the day which side of the Satmar dispute you got on. I mean, it's got the Sharks and the Jets among the Hasidim. You got to be careful who you line up with.
Well, Trump is there today, and the House favorite item is cholent, a bowl of cholent. And I got to tell you, once Trump has had his first bowl of cholent, he will have eruptions all day. Boy, it cleans you out.
You know, come to think of it, I have not seen Trump eat on the stuff, no pun intended. He doesn't seem to eat when he goes. He gives out burgers and gives out things, but I haven't seen him eat.
No, that's unique to New York politics, especially. You gotta. It was the curse of the man who was on his way to becoming president, Michael Dukakis. He was with John Katsimatidis and all the Greeks at their cathedral in Astoria. They were celebrating. He had won a very contentious Democratic primary. He now had all the Democrats together. He crosses over Grand Central to Madame Baldy's, the pastry shop in Corona. All night long, she's a widow. She's making all the Italian pastries, right? And then she offers him. He comes with all the Democrats, Koch, they all made peace. She gave him a tray of cannoli. She goes, "I'm sorry, Madam Baldy, I'm on a diet."
That's a kid. Well, my story is I went to a bakery on a campaign event on 13th Avenue in Borough Park. And I'm online and some guy behind me says something nasty about my former wife. And he and I get into it in front of all the cameras, chin to chin, belly to belly. But the one thing is you got to eat the food. Wherever you are, you got to eat the food. In Iowa, whatever it is, pork chop on a stick, whatever it is, you got to eat the food. And in Pennsylvania, swing state Pennsylvania, if you don't know how to order a Philly cheesesteak, which I couldn't do, I've never been to Philly, that's the way you lose votes in Philly.
Sure. And by the way, that's how Joe Lieberman lost some votes, because he would attend these fairs and they would give him the pork barbecue, and he couldn't eat pork.
Yeah.
He was an observant Jew, and he didn't know how to, well, what am I going to say? I can't eat pork, and they'll look at me like, well, you one of them Muslim guys can't
So
eat
what's
pork?
he doing? What's he doing in Brooklyn? Just what's going on with your guy? Does he think he's going to win New York?
He thinks he is.
Boy, you know why he was supposed to be in this day? This was supposed to be a sentencing day.
Right. But Gottlieb's, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he's going to see the picture of one of the greatest comedians of all time, banned by Ed Sullivan for life, if you remember. They almost ruined his career. And
Jackie Mason, yeah.
That's sad. That's sad. We miss him. But left versus right heats up every Saturday. As all the polls say, that it's neck and neck, especially in the battleground sake. There's like a point or two that separates them. Seems like this is going to go down to the wire.
I got to tell you, even the worst days of a candidate, the best days, it moves 1 or 2 points. The country has made up its mind. It's going to be made on the margins. I am a little surprised that Donald Trump is taking a day off the campaign trail to be in New York. But listen, I mean, whatever it is, his numbers are not moving much. Kamala seems to be moving. Well, we'll see what happens. It's going to be very close. Me and Dominic will argue all about it on Saturday.
Remember, the Satmar have a lot of money. So if he's noshing there, at Gottlieb's, could be a lot of contributions there. A lot of contributions.
Well, more than that. Also, when they vote, they don't vote and, lean in one way. They go 100% wherever they
Block
go.
vote. Block vote.
Exactly.
But now, with you and Dominic, because it's going back and forth, second attempted assassination. I call it, this guy, I say it was like he was out there at a football game and he was laying up for about 12 hours. It's almost like, he was having, what could we call that? He was, I'm just struggling for the words right now because I came off of
look, but are we going to call this an assassination attempt at this point? The guy is lingering on the outside of a private property for like 12 hours. Where's Donald Trump's security? I don't understand what's going on here. Everyone's talking about the Secret Service, but you got a guy lingering outside the outer perimeters of a private golf club for 12 hours. No one noticed him. At one point, did you say to your own security guys, what are you guys doing here? And by the way, he's not going to get charged with an assassination attempt. You know that, right?
So wait a second. So he's tailgating there for 12 hours waiting for Trump. It's tailgating to assassinate. This is a new sport. And no drones yet. The Secret Service apparently doesn't believe in drones.
I don't know.
I've said, though, the next attempt is going to be a drone.
But but work with me now. The guy's out on the golf course. First, I don't know why he's on a golf course in the middle of a campaign, but he's on the golf course over and over again every day. How is there not just Trump security just wandering the perimeters nonstop? I mean, I just don't something's weird here. I got to tell you. And by the way, and I say it again, this guy is not going to get charged with an assassination attempt. He's going to be out in 4 or 5 years.
Well, if it was up to DeSantis, he would be in Gitmo right now with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
That's right.
He'd be waterboarding him.
That's right.
Aren't you at least fascinated to know, since this guy's alive, the other sniper boy, all we got of is ashes in an urn, what his motivation was?
Yeah, I mean, the guy seems like a half a whack job. I mean, the guy was a Vivek Ramaswamy. He was like, he goes to Ukraine to volunteer. This guy, that's the other thing. Never mind leaving a digital trail. This guy left literal books saying, I'm going to assassinate someone, and still no one knocks on his door.
A guy who tailgates to assassinate. This is the new episode, but you got to listen to Left versus Right. It's what I get asked about. I was on Staten Island last night. Only question. Do these guys really hate each other? Do they like one another? Are they going to kill one another? Saturday's live, 4 to 5. And if you miss it live, you got to get it on podcast. It's Anthony Weiner on the left.
Keith here from Lewis Jewelers. It's a new year and time for you to get some new cash for all your old, unwanted jewelry. We are your trusted store to turn those items into immediate cash. Stop in today.